Right then. What do you think about the campaign? I'm not gonna talk about gameplay and all that stuff. Ooh. I think it's been covered enough, like the things that are problem with the game. No gem slot. One thing I don't think anyone's been saying is like, or like I haven't heard often, is like a loadout for your skills. Because if I want to change, like I have certain gear and whatever, and I want to change from like a certain build to another, I have to go through a lot of shit, Paragon and skills and all that stuff. My opinion, loadouts should be a thing, and honestly, even if it costs me money, fuck it, it's all good. Like gold, you know. Gem slot, obviously, things like that. And better cosmetics. Honestly, right now there's absolutely no reason to buy cosmetics. But that's like probably like the only main complaints I have with just like anything that is outside of the campaign. Now, what do I think about the campaign? I think overall, as far as story goes, I would say this story is fantastic if you have never played a Diablo game before. If that makes sense. I think the story is good even if you played a Diablo game before. However, it just doesn't answer or doesn't even hint at... Well, maybe there are hints. I don't know. I didn't see anything that hints at like what happened to Tyrael. It's like, oh, he's just dead. Like, come on, man. Like, Tyrael just dead? Even Deckard Cain got at least something in D3. Right? So it's like having Tyrael just die in like in between like games. I don't know, man. I wish they would do something with like something with Tyrael. And before people say it's like, no, he didn't return to heaven. He returned to heaven to be the aspect of wisdom. Then he went back down to earth and he got fucked by Malthael. Okay? So, he shouldn't be in heaven, okay? He was on earth. Like, if you're playing Diablo 3, you know Tyrael is on earth, okay? Like, sorry, in Sanctuary. He's not in heaven. So, like, that is a problem. Mephisto was kind of odd, in my opinion. Like, the way that he's like, he says it's like, I felt like you could defeat Lilith. That's why I saved you in the cave. There's really nothing that would make him think that, you know? It's just, why would he think that we're able to save Lilith? He was right. However, it's like, would it be just like the whole, rescue a bunch of random adventurers and one of them might be able to save Lilith? I don't know. I feel like that's too much of a shot there. Still don't know what Lilith wanted. It's like, okay, she'll take care... Because, like, what she's saying to you, I don't know if it's true or a lie. Let's assume it's the truth. And if it is, then why wouldn't I cooperate with her? If it's a lie, it's obvious why I don't cooperate with her, but at the same time, then what is her true goal? I don't feel like we understand what Lilith actually wants. Okay, she wants to become the next Mephisto, instead of Daughter of Hatred, to be the next Lord of Hatred. But why would that be an issue for us if she became the Lord of Hatred, if she has no intentions of doing anything to Sanctuary? Right, if she becomes the Lord of Hatred, she'll be on par with Diablo and Baal. Probably not as strong. Honestly, though, maybe stronger because she will be a combination of herself and Mephisto. So maybe she would be even stronger. I don't know. Especially if they are still like recovering and like trying to like reform and shit like that. So she would be definitely stronger than them at that point. So I have no idea what Lilith wanted. Inarius' death was kind of obvious. I mean, I love the cinematic, don't get me wrong. I think the cinematic was fantastic. Probably the best cinematic in the whole game. But it was kind of like, yeah, I figured he's gonna die. Because, like, the hubris on that motherfucker. Right? It's like, we have no hints at... And again, this is great for their expansion. I know they already have 2 expansions planned, so that's great. But it's like, they're... The campaign left me with substantially more questions than it did answers. I don't know what Lilith wanted. I just know, oh, she's a demon, we kill her. Okay, I know what Elias wanted. Okay, that's fair. It's like save Sanctuary at all costs. Whatever, whoever we sacrifice, all the weak that we sacrifice is fine because it will fuel the strong and shit like that, right? So, okay, I get Elias is fine, okay? I don't mind Elias too much. I think to some extent he has merit, like the end justifies the means. That's basically what Elias was. Nerel, again, another big question mark. And again, the problem with Nerel as well is like the first time you finish the campaign with in Act 1 and you have Lorath telling you something about Nerel, that he's talking like in the past tense, like what in a big role Nerel will play and stuff like that, and it's like she still didn't play that role. Overall, she didn't play that role. Unless the role was her deciding, because I told her to decide that she should imprison Mephisto. We have no idea where she's going. We have no idea why the Mephisto wolf is guiding her or following her or protecting her. I don't know what she does. I don't know why she was able to open a portal using Mephisto's powers. Now, we saw that using the stone, something happened to her hand while she was also holding it, while she sealed Mephisto. So maybe I don't know. It was a very weird correlation there. We clearly don't understand much about Sanctuary right now, because it's like, how come there's an area that is Sanctuary, but then everything that has to do with Tree of Whispers, this area is technically not Sanctuary. Right. If what's her name? Lilith and Inaris created Sanctuary, who created this thing? Maybe we'll find out as the campaign goes. But again, I just have way more questions than I do answers regarding the story right now. Right. And here's probably going to be, this is like more to do with like gameplay and seasons. My biggest concern is that we'll have to do the campaign every single time, which is like, oh, well, you know, in PoE you have to do the campaign every single time. That's, in my opinion, that's not good. I don't like doing the campaign in Path of Exile every single season. How many times do you want to do it? And it's a very long campaign. It's like, oh yeah, you can power through it like 3 hours, whatever. Like, maybe, but it's a very long campaign to do every freaking season. Okay, same with like Diablo 4. It's gonna be a pretty long campaign. I think like maybe season 1 is whatever, like sure, because it can be still interesting. But like I feel like if your account did the season, did the whole story, you should just start with like adventure mode, like in Diablo 3. Same with like opening all the dungeons, all of the Lilith statues collection, everything you do that is like that has to do with this. Everything that has to do with this. I really don't want to do this every fucking season. It's just fucking bullshit. Okay? But this is like, this is extra. I just want to talk about the campaign. But like these things will be like, this has to do with the campaign. Like if I have to redo the campaign every fucking season, it's gonna be annoying. That's why in like Diablo 3 they made it's like, well, if you ever complete the campaign, you can just go into adventure mode. Right? So I feel like that would probably be the solution here. The reason I don't like the campaign too much, more than one time, is there is way too much back and forth. Running from quest location to quest location, but there's like no way again, then you have to go back to the same spot. Like for example, take Act 1, right? The part where you have to do the Inarius and Nerel part, right? So you go to Kyovashad, you go to Prava here, then you go do like a bit of here, then you go here, then you have to go back, then you do the Nerel stuff, then you go back, and then you have to go here again to the Darkened Way. Like you get to the Mother, you come out, you like, it's a lot of back and forth. It's just like not really fun. It's fun the first time. It's like, okay, this is cool, but like after doing it like multiple times on the beta and the server slam, and then doing it here, I was like, bro, fuck this Act 1. I'm so done with it, right? It was still kind of okay because I still have that hype of like, oh, Diablo 4 is out. So it's like, let's just fucking go. But like, I really don't want to do this part again. Honestly, probably Act 1 is probably the least daunting out of them all. I feel like Act 2, like Dry Steps. Was Dry Steps? No, sorry. Skosglen, in a sense, was better, but for me, it was kind of worse. I just didn't like it too much. But yeah, in terms of like characters, I think I like all the characters, but I really didn't care about any of them. Like, they were all throwaway characters. But again, I know it's a Diablo game. This, like, it's not about story and shit like that. So it's like, I feel like the characters overall for an ARPG were fine. I personally didn't care about any of them. It's like if one of them dies, like, whatever, right? But so yeah. But again, it's an ARPG. How often in an ARPG do you care about characters? Probably never, right? What else? Cinematic quality, like one of the best, like in a Blizzard game. I do wish that the ending cinematic was on the same quality as the Inarius cinematic. I didn't mind. I know Asmongold didn't like it that you fight Ashava right towards the end there before you fight Lilith. I feel like it was fine, especially like as a new player. I think it's totally fine to fight Ashava. I think it's totally fine. For people who played the beta and the server stuff and shit like that, okay, I understand. But in my opinion, fighting Ashava as a brand new player there, first of all, you get to see the mechanics. It is the first world boss that you will probably fight after you finish the campaign. I feel like it's totally fine. Teaches you basic mechanics for at least one of the world bosses. I feel like that's totally fine. I didn't really have a complaint about it. But yeah, aside from like not like characters, and also again, the whole like when Lorith says that Inaris is dead and Lilith is dead, how is Lilith dead? She really isn't. She's a demon, so she will have to come back. It's not like you can just kill her without a soul stone. Right? And honestly, even with the soul stone, here's the thing, right? We shattered Baal's and Mephisto's soul stones in Diablo 2. Something that had to do with the corrupting of the world stone somehow release Mephisto and Baal again, which kind of doesn't make sense. The Diablo one, I can kind of understand, because like, yeah, we destroyed the Soul Stone, but he had Leah, which, you know, as like an offspring, so he could transfer into her. Okay, sure. Didn't understand, like, if you think about like the Black Soulstone Diablo 3 didn't make a whole lot of sense, because where do you get the souls? Because he said now he's the prime evil, as in he has all 7 prime evil. He was the prime evil because he has all 7 of the greater evils in him, like Diablo, right? When he merged with the Black Soulstone or whatever, consumed its power or something. Right? And then eventually, like, obviously we sealed him in the Black Soulstone and then that share, but it's like, how did Mephisto and Baal get in there? Supposedly they're not dead. And if they were dead and you couldn't, then first of all, how is Mephisto here now? That makes no sense. And the other one is, where's Baal in all of this? Right? And then you have the whole thing of like, okay, well, if Diablo had an offspring, Leah, that he took over, why can't Mephisto do something similar about Lilith? There's so many like weird holes like that, which is like, maybe Lilith is too strong? Maybe? I don't know. It's really weird. Maybe Lilith wasn't using Mephisto's power, therefore he couldn't, because like the whole point of like Leah becoming Diablo was that Andrea was teaching her how to use Diablo's power, and the more she used Diablo's power, the more power Diablo got, therefore he could consume her. But it's like, and Lilith did not do that, I guess. I don't know. So many questions, like, not too clear to me. But in terms of just like first playthrough, I think it's overall fine. I really hope they're answering a lot of questions. And honestly, we need to know what happened to Tyrael, like straight up, and we need to understand what is going on with Nerel and Mephisto, because that doesn't make sense. Why is he guiding her? And if he's not guiding her, is she controlling him? How is she controlling him through the Soul Stone, kind of thing? There's like it's just a weird relationship there. What I think about the game as a whole. From what I see about endgame, at least right now, at least there's something to work towards, which is another fight against Lilith on like the highest world tier. But other than that, I honestly feel like the game lacks in its talents. That's pretty much it. While leveling, I'm not gonna lie, most of these are pretty much useless. Honestly, I would say all of them are pretty much useless. They're very, very weak. So like to put them key passives, they don't really change much. Like they don't do anything. Like this one, yeah, okay, sure. This, like, they really don't do anything. As far as like the ultimates, honestly, not gonna lie, some of them don't really feel like that. This is the only one that feels like an ultimate. This one feels way too weak. This one, right? I mean, it's good for bosses. This is good for AoE. This one I have no idea, but like, yeah, like, bro, 2000 damage for an ultimate, that's nothing. I deal more damage with this right now. Shit, look at this. 821 on a spammable ability. Like, this ultimate does nothing. Right, so it's like, why is it even there? This does way more. Like, way more. This is 2000. Bro, I do like 2000 in like almost no time with this, plus the Shadow Imbue. I know the ultimates don't feel very ultimate-y, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Skills, again, like the choices are so limited. There's literally no reason to use any of these basic skills. This is the only AoE skill. It causes vulnerability. This is just, it's not that these are bad. I mean, these two are pretty bad, but this is just so much better. So I don't like that. In terms of this, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Barrage right now, I want to make a Barrage build, but I feel like Barrage is gonna be like dog shit. So it's gonna be really hard to make Barrage build. Here, really not much to play with. I mean, there are cultural builds, I guess, but it's like, I don't know, like this, meh. Also, like the lack of Diablo 2 had more abilities you could have used. Right, you could have had 11 abilities, basically 10 or 11 abilities, I believe, in Diablo 2, like easily, right? F1 to F9, F1 to F10, and then whatever you use on, like, so yeah, 11 abilities, F1 to F10, and then whatever ability you want to put on like your left click, right? So again, feels weak. I really wish they played with like dual wielding, like for example, when here, right? So it's like I'm gonna have my dagger abilities, and then I click, let's say, W, like it was in Diablo 2, and I switch to my bow shit, and then I do bow stuff, right? Things like that. I mean, right now it feels like it's lacking. This is lacking. The Paragon, I hopefully does something, like changes, but it's like there's so many things that's like you probably can't do in the game compared to like, and as sad as it is, Diablo 3, in my opinion, had way more choices. Not all of them were good choices, but it felt like Diablo 3 had more choices for builds. Obviously, they weren't balanced, but just like how the abilities would synergize. So, in that regard, I am not a big fan. Also, if people say like the talents are too complicated, no, they're not. No, they're not. Legit, like at for Rogue, for example, at most you have like one ability per tree here. At most, right? It's like it's pretty fucking shitty. Most of the passives are like too weak. This talent tree, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, this is like, in my opinion, it could have been just organized better. Right? I don't like the zigzag. I would prefer to look something a bit different. I don't even know how. Like, as instead of like this, maybe like honestly even like a drop down menu would have probably been better. And then when you choose your ability, like it unlocks the passives, and then there's a small line that leads to the next drop down, then so whatever, right? I don't know. I'm not a fan, not at all. I don't think it's too complicated. Just think it's like too tedious to go up and down like this. Just let me zoom out or some shit like that. Right, specialization, honestly, for Rogue, this is like Rogue specific. Inner side just feels like a lot stronger than everything else, by far. It's like, it's not even balanced. Again, an ultimate that is barely any better than a regular ability, preparation just is fucking garbage because of it. Because the ultimates are just not strong enough in comparison. This one's the only one that can be kind of okay, but it's like you need to use 3 basic abilities to shoot 1 core ability, which means 4 attacks. Whereas what you really want to do is dash in, blow everything up, move out without having to click too many buttons. That's the whole core of like an ARPG, especially later on. It's like blowing shit up fast without them having a chance to come at you. Combo points right now feel a lot weaker than inner sight. Okay, especially when you have better energy regeneration, shit like that. Like, and then it's like this pops and you just spam your core abilities. Yeah, can't even compare, especially with attack speed where you can spam even more core abilities. Yeah, I feel like there's just a massive lack of balance in the abilities. Massive lack of balance in the abilities, a massive lack of balance in specialization. So yeah, we'll see how the end game goes. Right now, not too excited. Sorry, well, I'm not too excited about anything really. I'm like fucking, I'm an Iceman in that regard, but I am not too optimistic about the build choices that I have. As much as I like, and like the worst part is I enjoy Rogue the most, and I'm not too optimistic about what comes next. And I've seen Woodijo play some of his Rogue endgame, and also like, yeah, just like the lack of build variety in my opinion is kind of. We'll see. I don't know. It feels like there's just a massive lack of build variety. There's just like, unless the, what do you call these items? Unless the uniques really offer something amazing for abilities, because this one is clearly just like a passive. But if it really changes how ability works, like, I don't know, make rapid fire into a strafe, like you can use rapid fire while moving, turning into a strafe, holy shit, right? Like really changes how some abilities work. I don't see myself really like I don't think there's just that much in the game right now. And honestly, for a first iteration, we don't know what the seasons are gonna bring. Maybe the seasons are gonna change stuff. Maybe one of the seasons will add the weapon swapping, right? Maybe the expansion will add it, right? Things like that. So maybe, you know, like you can be hopeful about that, but for the most part, right now, not the most optimistic. But anyways, this has gone way too long and way over what I want to talk about. If I had to rate Diablo, I would say probably like a 7 in terms of ARPG. For now, just campaign-wise, 7 out of 10. It didn't wow me, didn't like shock me. There wasn't like anything that's like holy shit, and there wasn't like anything unexpected holy shit. You know, it's like, yeah, the cinematic for Inarius was fucking amazing, but I'm not gonna give it a 10 out of 10 just because of one cinematic. I would say if it wasn't for the Inara cinematic, I would say this is like a 5 out of 10 so far. Right. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Diablo 4 so far, and obviously we're gonna do the end game, and then we're gonna review what the end game feels like. Thanks for watching. See ya in the next one. Cheers.